First of all, I'd like to express our gratitude to the organizers, the Elcano Royal Institute, the Bled Strategic Forum, the Slovenian presidency through the embassy here in Madrid, and the Foundation Carlos Amberes. You push us hard to essentially talk about this issue in 6 minutes. I'm going to do my best. I'll do it in 3 minutes. First I'm going to try to make the case for the region, and then in the second half I'll talk about the story of my country, of North Macedonia. The term enlargement is somewhat misleading, because the day when our 6 countries joined the European Union, the map of the European Union will not enlarge, will stay the same. Only this gray zone will become blue with the yellow stars. So probably a more precise term would be completion, the completion of the European project. What's at stake? First of all, as the European project itself, the European Union was inspired by building permanent peace. And the vision for our region, we all become proper, strong, vibrant European democracies governed by the rule of law. Borders do not matter much. They become like the borders between Spain and Portugal, or the Netherlands and Belgium, and this is the context where we all built up our prosperity. So if we take out the European vision for the region out of the equation, then I think we have alternative visions and narratives. Some of those include an emphasis on borders, on greater states, which mean smaller states, on ethnic borders, etc., etc. So we, to some extent, go to the debate that brought about wars in the region in the last decade of the last century. The economic argument, this was, in a way, the stability and the geographic argument. The economic argument, our region is already in the same boat with the European Union. 3/4 of our trade is with the European Union. 3/4 of all foreign direct investments that come in the region are companies from the EU member states. If EU does well, we feel it in the region in terms of our own economies, and the other way around. For my country, Germany is the biggest market. Almost half of what we produce goes to Germany. UK is also, interestingly, an important market, but by and large, we are economically tied with the European Union. So even though people think about the region as a region that borders Europe, this is a region that is within Europe already geographically. It's its inner yard. And if this region is like the rest of Europe, in terms of policies, in terms of how our societies are organized, our democracies are organized, Europe will be better off. If this region is left out, and the accession process is essentially a process of transformation, I think this will be negative for the whole European house if the Western Balkans is one room of the many in this common European house. So moving gradually to the Macedonian case, we have a long journey. We signed the Association and Stabilization Agreement 2 decades ago, before Croatia. We are a candidate country since 2005, and we have received 11 positive reports of the Commission that we should start accession talks, the first one in 2009. So we've perfected patience and we have experience in waiting. The reason for this delay was not structural in terms of the Copenhagen criteria, democracy or rule of law or freedom of the media or human rights. It was not about the wars in former Yugoslavia, because we were not part of those wars, luckily. It was about a bilateral dispute that we had with Greece. And I myself personally grew up in a way with that issue, both as a diplomat and then as a politician. We solved the issue, investing an enormous political capital and telling to our people that if we do this, in addition to making a friend and finalizing our statehood in the United Nations, we will join NATO and we will start the accession talks with the European Union. This last part of the promise is still missing, which even though in Brussels, in many European capitals, the Prespa agreement was praised as a triumph of European diplomacy, as the biggest step forward for the region since the Dayton Agreement. And when promises were made, and when those promises are not met, the issue of trust comes up. And this is why in the latest enlargement package, the European Commission said, if we are not able to start accession talks with North Macedonia and Albania, this hurts the credibility of the European Union. So when Europe says something to the region, people will think twice if they can trust the European Union. And when they lose trust, Europe also loses leverage and influence in this strategically important region. So the reason I have to acknowledge, and I don't think it's fair to, let's say, to blame the whole European Union. It's a complicated animal where member states must agree so that movement can take place. There is a decision that was adopted under the Croatian presidency in March 2020. The first presidency that tried to implement that decision was Germany, then it was Portugal, and now we have our Slovenian friends who are trying to do that. The obstacle is one member state, our neighbors, our eastern neighbors from in the region, part of our region, Bulgaria, and they have raised issues that are not exactly of this century. Go back in late 19th century, early 20th century. They have to do with history and identity and language. And we don't have too much time for me to go into details on those issues, but in general, from what we have learned talking to friends in Europe, the best way for countries to grow up together and become more mature and wise about their differences and resolve them is through the European project. And I think there are so many examples that we can point to. If we front load these differences at the start, in particular after climbing the biggest mountain from our perspective, which was the name issue, then this backfires. And last, a member state has leverage over a candidate country. And we know that this is an opportunity to pursue national interest. But my question is, having experienced bilateral issues taking hostage the enlargement process, the accession process, can you ask whatever you want from a candidate country? Can those demands go against the European values? The Lisbon Treaty says that member states are committed to cherish and foster the linguistic and the cultural diversity on the European continent. And if you question the language of your neighbor, a European nation in 21st century, I think you go against this important pillar of the Lisbon Treaty. So our problem is not only, and our fight is not only about protecting what is something very intimate, the Macedonian identity. It's also about fighting for the European identity. If the European Union is a community of values where certain core values are protected. We have strong credentials that we can meet demands of neighbors, that we can resolve problems, that we can respect them. What we ask in return is for our neighbors to respect us and our dignity. And what's at stake is not only the trust of the European promise for the region, but it's also, in our case, the Macedonian-Bulgarian friendship. And this strategy in the last 2 years of blocking is taking a very heavy toll on the Macedonian-Bulgarian friendship. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikola.